You know that feeling when you've done everything right, optimized your sleep, tracked your macros, meditated each morning, and yet some part of you still feels hollow, heavy, and deeply uninterested in your own life. That isn't a disorder. According to Jung, it's your psyche deliberately draining your energy. Because you've been marching in a direction your soul rejected years ago, and if you don't turn and face that rebellion, your body will continue to withdraw its vitality until you have nothing left to spend on the wrong path. This isn't burnout. It's an eviction notice from your own depths. We have been taught to treat exhaustion as a mechanical problem. Fix the sleep, fix the diet, fix the time management. But what if the deepest tiredness isn't a sign of malfunction, but a form of intelligence? Carl Jung spent his life mapping the hidden contours of the psyche, and one of his most unsettling observations was this: the unconscious will actively sabotage a life that has become too small for the self. It will drain you, distract you, even make you sick, not out of cruelty, but out of a desperate instinct to force your growth. Today, we are going to walk through the architecture of that psychic sabotage, and I'm going to show you how to stop forcing a life that no longer has room for who you are becoming. We'll move through 5 clear stages: the biology of living a lie, the strange grief of succeeding in the wrong thing, how to interpret the precise language of the soul's mutiny, the invisible prison built from shoulds and fears, and finally, how to reclaim your vitality without waiting for a full collapse. But before we enter that terrain, I want to place one image in your mind. Jung once described the psyche as a self-regulating system. Like the body, when you hold your breath, the body fights back until you gasp for air. The psyche does the same with meaning. If you hold back your authentic expression, it will fight back until you gasp for a new life. The fatigue you feel is that gasp. And most of us have been taught to ignore it, medicate it, or shame ourselves for it. We've been told it's a personal failure, a lack of discipline, a weakness. But what if it's the most honest response you could have to a dishonest life? Part 1. The biology of spiritual resistance. Most people think of burnout as running out of gas. But psychic burnout, the kind Jung would point to, is not an empty tank, it's an engine that is seized, because the road you're on is grinding against everything your nervous system knows to be true. You can feed that engine the finest fuel, but it will still refuse to turn over if the direction has become unbearable. There's a physiological reality here that few talk about. When you live in a state of prolonged self-betrayal, waking up each day to perform a role that contradicts your internal values, your body stays in a subtle but relentless state of threat. The autonomic nervous system reads the dissonance between your outer performance and your inner truth as a danger signal. You are, in a very real sense, lying to the tribe. And the ancient brain, which equates social deception with risk of expulsion, keeps the stress response simmering just below the surface. Your muscles stay braced, your breath stays shallow, and your cortisol hums a quiet, constant alarm. This is not a malfunction. This is a million-year-old survival mechanism reading your fake smile as a sign that you are in hostile territory. This is why you can sleep 10 hours and still wake up feeling like you never rested. Sleep repairs the body, but it cannot repair the rupture between your persona and your soul. Jung was explicit about this. He said that the persona, the mask we wear to meet the world, is not a problem in itself, but it becomes a prison when we identify with it so completely that we lose contact with the deeper self. When your job, your relationship, or your whole lifestyle demands a mask that has nothing in common with the face underneath, the psyche begins to bleed energy. That bleeding is what you call chronic exhaustion. You are not resting because you are not safe, not physically safe, but psychically safe. And the psyche knows the difference. Imagine a tree planted too close to a concrete wall. For a while it grows, but eventually its roots hit something hard. It doesn't just stop, it starts to contort, spending enormous energy on unnatural angles, trying to find soil that fits. That contortion is you forcing a life. The fatigue is the energy spent twisting to survive in a space that can't hold you. And the tragedy is, we often applaud the contortion. We call it resilience. But the tree is not resilient. It is slowly dying, just in a way that looks like effort. Now, here's a micro cliffhanger. What if some of your most persistent physical symptoms, the tight jaw, the shallow breath, the unexplained back pain, the gut that knots every Sunday evening, are not random, but the body's translation of a psychic conflict you're refusing to name? Jung called this somatization, the body speaking what the mind will not. We'll come back to that, but first let me ask you, if your body is always tense, always braced, always ready for something, what exactly is it bracing against? Could it be the very life you wake up to each morning? The nervous system's wisdom often gets overlooked in the world of psychology. It doesn't speak in words, it speaks in posture, in gut feelings, in that sudden drop of energy when you walk into a place or a conversation that your soul has already rejected. That drop is not weakness, it is orientation. The body is saying, not here, not this. If you silence that signal long enough, it will shout louder through panic, through apathy, through a kind of leaden tiredness that makes even your favorite activities feel like obligations. You might notice that the hobbies that once restored you now feel like chores. That is not because you've lost interest in life. It's because your life has lost alignment with you. And until that alignment is restored, every act feels like a detour. Think about the last time you had to go to a meeting you didn't believe in, or maintain a relationship that had been emotionally over for years. Did you notice a strange, almost physical weight descending on you hours before the event? That's the psyche placing a stone in your chest as a warning. And what do? We call it stress. We call it just how life is. We push through. But pushing through is how you teach your nervous system that its signals will not be honored. And a nervous system that is consistently ignored eventually goes on strike. That strike is the exhaustion you feel. There is an additional layer here that Jung would recognize. The psyche is not just reactive, it is prospective. It senses not only what is wrong now, but what will become wrong if you continue. That heaviness before the meeting isn't just about the meeting. It's about the future that meeting leads to, the promotion you don't want, the identity you'll have to wear even more tightly, the years spent climbing a ladder that leans against a wall you never wanted to reach. The psyche is pulling the emergency brake, and you are overriding it with caffeine and willpower. So before we move to the next part, I want you to hold this. The tiredness you can't fix isn't lazy. It's loyal. It's loyal to the self you buried under responsibilities, expectations, and the fear of disappointing others. And until you unbury that self, the tiredness will stay, not as punishment, but as a homing beacon. It is the voice of the unlived life calling to you, and the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. Part 2, the high cost of living a lie. Now let's talk about a very particular form of exhaustion. The tiredness of success that belongs to someone you no longer are. Many people reach the summit of a mountain they started climbing at 23, only to stand there at 35 realizing they no longer care about the view. And yet, they keep standing there, terrified to descend. because the whole world applauded their ascent. Jung wrote about the midlife crisis not as a breakdown, but as a necessary correction. He observed that the first half of life is about establishing oneself in the world: career, family, social standing. The second half, if we're honest, must be about finding meaning beyond that establishment. But what happens when you arrive at the second half and realize the establishment you've built is a house you don't want to live in? You face a horrific choice: keep maintaining the house and die slowly inside, or walk away into an empty field with no guarantee you'll ever build again. This is the cognitive dissonance that drains people who on paper have everything. They have the salary, the title, the partner, the possessions, and yet they feel like an imposter in their own life. The reason is simple: that life was constructed by a past version of you, often a version driven by survival, by a need to prove something, or by the borrowed desires of family and culture. When that version is no longer who you are, every action you take in service of that life becomes a lie. And lying, even to yourself, costs an enormous amount of psychic energy. Think of it like maintaining two separate operating systems on one device. You have the system of the old self, its goals, its pride, its fears, and the system of the emerging self, its quiet callings, its new values, its hunger for a different kind of day. Every morning you boot up the old system to go to work, to smile in the right places, to hit the metrics. And every evening the emerging self drains the battery trying to get your attention. The result? You're never fully present anywhere. You're always fragmented, and fragmentation is one of the most exhausting states a human can endure. You exist in a constant twilight between who you were and who you need to become, and that twilight consumes more energy than any honest darkness ever could. But here's the twist, the one nobody warns you about. The fatigue isn't just a side effect, it's a defense. The subconscious knows that if you had full energy, you might keep sprinting deeper into the wrong life, accumulating more and more success that will feel like ash. So it slows you down. It makes you too tired to chase the next promotion, too tired to plan the grand vacation that's supposed to fix everything, too tired to even pretend you're okay. It's a strategic withdrawal of energy to stop you from investing further in a bankrupt identity. And we often fight this defense with stimulants and self-criticism, not realizing we're dismantling the very safety system that could save us. I want to pause here and ask you a question that might land uncomfortably. If your deepest exhaustion were actually a form of protection, what would it be protecting you from? Sit with that for a moment. I want you to imagine a brilliant architect who, after 20 years of designing skyscrapers, realizes she never loved buildings, she loved the small wooden sculptures her grandfather taught her to make as a child. She ignores it, of course, because skyscrapers pay and respect is intoxicating. But her body starts to rebel. Her hands ache. She can't concentrate on blueprint. She's bone-tired by noon. She visits doctors, takes supplements, tries yoga. Nothing works. That isn't illness. That's the psyche saying, I gave you 20 years of skyscrapers. If you don't pick up the wood again, I will take away the very ability to draw. This is not metaphor. This is how the system works. The psyche will withdraw energy from the false path until the true path is allowed to exist. Now consider the opposite. A man who spent 10 years chasing a career in finance because his father said it was the only respectable path. He succeeds, makes money, buys the house, but every night he dreams of boats. He was born to work with his hands on the water. The exhaustion he feels is not from overwork. It's from the sheer gravitational weight of a life that is not his. And until he acknowledges that the career isn't his dream but his father's ghost, the fatigue will remain, a loyal guard at the door of a prison his father built with love. So here's a question to carry with you. If all your exhaustion disappeared tomorrow, what would you do with that new energy? Would you pour it into the same life you're living now? Or would you immediately start changing things? The answer tells you everything about whether you're tired from exertion or tired from imprisonment. Most people, when they answer honestly, feel a lurch of fear, because the answer implies a loss they're not ready to face. And that fear itself is a major energy drain. Part 3. Interpreting the soul's rebellion. Now we move into the quiet art of listening. Most of us treat our internal states like noise to be silenced. If we feel uneasy, we distract. If we feel bored, we scroll. If we feel that hollow ache, we buy something, or book something, or eat something. But what if every single one of those feelings is a distinct word in a language your deeper consciousness is speaking? Jung insisted that the unconscious communicates through symbols, emotions, and bodily states, not through rational arguments. It will not give you a PowerPoint presentation on why you should leave your career. It will give you a migraine every Sunday evening. It will give you a strange sense of grief on the day you receive an award. It will make you feel deeply lonely in a room full of people who think they know you. These are not random. They are precise. And learning to read them is one of the most vital skills of an authentic life. The first step in this reading is to stop pathologizing the signal. When you feel that hollow ache, your mind immediately says, "I must be depressed," or "I have an anxiety disorder." Maybe, but what if depression, as Jung sometimes suggested, is not always a chemical misfire, but a healthy withdrawal of libido from a world that has lost meaning? What if the psyche is turning inward not to die, but to protect itself from a toxic outer life, and to force a reevaluation? That reframe alone can shift you from victim to listener. Let's distinguish between two forms of tiredness, what I call the good tired and the hollow tired. Good tired comes from meaningful exertion. You've built something, you've connected, you've moved a piece of the world forward. Your body is spent, but there's a quiet hum of satisfaction underneath. You sleep deeply and wake with a sense of renewal. Hollow tired, by contrast, has no satisfaction. You may have done nothing physically demanding, yet you feel drained as if you've been running for days. You sleep and wake up unrefreshed. That's because hollow tired is not about depletion. It's about resistance. Your energy hasn't run out. It has been diverted to holding up a collapsing internal structure. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from being too little of who you really are. Here's a signal your intuition might be sending you right now: a growing inability to tolerate small frustrations. When the psyche is aligned, minor annoyances remain minor, but when the psyche is already overburdened with a wrong path, those same annoyances become unbearable. You snap at people you love. You feel rage at a slow internet connection. You want to scream at the barista for getting your order wrong. That's not about the internet or the coffee. That's the pressure of an inner life that has no outlet, forcing its way through any crack it can find. The anger is a displaced rebellion. It is your soul screaming at the wrong target, because the right target feels too dangerous to confront. Another signal: the disappearance of curiosity. Notice when you stop asking questions, when you lose interest in learning, when the world goes gray. A life that is too small starves the exploratory instinct. The psyche withdraws its investment in the outer world because the outer world has become a script, not an adventure. If you find yourself scrolling past things you once found fascinating, it's not because you've matured out of them. It's because your spirit is conserving energy for the only thing that matters now, a course correction. Your genuine interests are not frivolous, they are compass points. When they vanish, it's because you've wandered far from your magnetic north. There's also the signal of the false rest. You take a vacation, a beautiful beach, perfect weather, and you feel worse. You feel anxious, bored, or guilty for not enjoying it. That's a screaming signal that the life you're returning to is the real problem. The vacation didn't fail. It succeeded in revealing how intolerable your daily existence has become. The psyche refused to let you use the beach as a bandage for a wound that needs surgery. Pay attention to that. The places where you cannot relax are the places where your soul feels caged. I want to give you a practical lens. For the next 3 days, track where your energy rises and falls, not what you think should energize you, what actually does. When do you lose track of time? When does your chest feel light? Conversely, what interactions, what spaces, what tasks drain you within minutes? That simple log is the beginning of deciphering your soul's rebellion. It will show you, in undeniable data, that your energy is not random. It is mapping the shape of the life you are meant to inhabit, and that map will almost certainly contradict the one you currently follow. And here's a crucial distinction. The soul's rebellion does not demand you blow up your life tonight. It does not require you to quit your job without a plan. That is the ego's panic response, not the self's wisdom. The self asks for acknowledgement first. It asks you to stop calling your fatigue a pathology and start calling it a conversation. The moment you do that, something shifts. The exhaustion doesn't vanish, but it loses its charge. It becomes information instead of affliction. That shift alone can free up a surprising amount of energy, because you are no longer fighting the signal, you are finally hearing it, and being heard is often all the soul needs to stop shouting. Part 4, the architecture of your internal prison. If the soul's rebellion is the alarm, then what is the prison it's trying to escape? This is where we must look at the invisible walls we build around ourselves, often with the best intentions and the most loving collusion of the people around us. Jung used the term shadow to describe the parts of ourselves we repress, but he also understood that much of our behavior is governed by unexamined cultural scripts. These are the sentences that run our lives without our permission. You must be stable. You shouldn't let people down. A good person finishes what they start. You've invested too much to walk away now. These are not truths, they are inherited blueprints, and they become the bars of a cage when you outgrow the house they built. The tragedy is that many of us don't even know we're in a cage, because the bars were installed so early we think they're part of our own skeleton. Let's audit a few of these scripts. The sunk cost script keeps millions of people in careers, cities, and marriages long past the expiration date. It whispers, if you leave now, all those years were wasted. But ask yourself, if you stay and waste the next 10 years, how is that better? The waste isn't leaving. The waste is continuing to spend your one wild life on something that no longer aligns. The years you lived were not wasted. They were the bridge that brought you to this deeper knowing. But the bridge is not a destination. You don't keep driving across a bridge just because you spent money building it. You cross it and move on. Then there's the void fear. This is the terror of letting go of an identity before a new one has fully formed. It's the moment between trapezes where you're holding nothing. The psyche, understandably, finds that terrifying. It would rather cling to a draining but familiar life than face the emptiness of the unknown. So it constructs elaborate rationalizations. Maybe it will get better. I can just do this a little longer. Other people have it worse. And the fatigue persists because the psyche knows you're stalling. It knows you're in the waiting room of your own life, and waiting rooms are exhausting. There is also a specific grief. We rarely talk about the grief of abandoning a life you worked hard to build, even if you can no longer inhabit it. That life had its own beauty, its own identity, its own dreams. To turn away from it is to lose a version of yourself, and that loss deserves mourning. Without mourning, we tend to keep one foot in the old life, dragging it behind us, draining our energy indefinitely. You cannot move into a new room if your arms are still full of furniture from the old one, and you cannot mourn what you haven't named. So name it, the person you were, the goals that once thrilled you, the image that others had of you. Grieve them. Only then can you truly set them down. I want to offer a small exercise. Right now, wherever you are, take a mental inventory of your current life's major commitments, your job, your primary relationships, your location, your daily routines. Now imagine each of them has a volume dial. Which ones, when you mentally turn them down, bring an immediate, almost physical relief? That relief is not a sign of weakness or irresponsibility. It is your psyche telling you exactly where the pressure is too high. The commitments that don't bring relief, or even bring a quiet sense of rightness when you imagine turning them up, those are the non-negotiables. Everything else is a negotiation. And right now, you might be treating them all as non-negotiable, which is why you're exhausted. Another invisible bar. The story of who you're supposed to be. This often comes wrapped in the love of family. Parents who sacrificed for your education. Partners who built their world around your success. Friends who admire the character you play. Walking away from a draining path can feel like betraying them, but here's what Jung would say. Individuation, becoming your true self, is not a betrayal of others. It's the only way to stop betraying yourself. And a drained, half-alive you is not a gift to anyone, no matter how many expectations you fulfill. In fact, the most generous thing you can offer the world is a fully alive you, because that version of you can actually love, actually create, actually give. The exhausted version is just performing those things. I want to add another layer. The prison of the ideal self, the perfect image we carry in our mind of who we should be. This image is often a composite of media, parental expectations, and cultural ideals. And it is relentless. It tells you that you should be richer, fitter, more successful, more enlightened. The gap between this ideal and your reality becomes a constant drain. But here's the Jungian twist. The ideal self is often the opposite of the authentic self. The authentic self is messy, uncertain, evolving. The ideal self is a statue. Chasing a statue is exhausting because statues don't breathe. Real life does. Let the statue shatter. It's not you. So, let me leave you with a question that will sit uneasily. If nobody in your life would be disappointed, and if you could not fail, what would you stop doing tomorrow? The thing that came to mind immediately, that is the first bar of your prison. Just naming it out loud can begin to rust the lock. And once the lock is rusted, the door doesn't need to be kicked open. It can be gently pushed. Part 5, Reclaiming Vitality through Radical Realignment. We've covered the signals, the costs, the hidden structures. Now the most urgent question. How do you move from listening to actually realigning without waiting for the breakdown that forces the change? The first step is deceptively simple and astonishingly difficult. Reduce the psychic leakage. Before you add anything, any new habit, any passion project, any big leap, begin by strategically shedding the commitments that act as parasitic drains. These are not always obvious. A seemingly harmless weekly social obligation, a committee you joined out of guilt, an old project you keep alive only because you said you would, the constant checking of a news feed that makes you feel powerless. These things are like small holes in your energy field. You won't miss them. Your soul will. I call this the quiet subtraction. It's not a dramatic resignation letter, though that may come later. It's the practice of looking at your calendar and asking, what here, if it simply disappeared, would make me feel lighter? Then, with as much grace as you can muster, you begin to withdraw. No explosions, no declarations, just a gentle, relentless closing of doors that should have been closed long ago. Each closing frees up a sliver of vitality, and those slivers accumulate into enough energy to start the real work. You might be surprised how much of your exhaustion was just the noise of too many open loops. The next step is what I'll call soul-level pivoting. This doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities overnight. It means you begin to tilt your life, even by 1 degree, toward the sparks of genuine interest that signal your next evolution. Jung spoke of the transcendent function, the capacity of the psyche to produce a third, entirely new way when the tension between two opposites becomes unbearable. Your life of duty and your life of desire can produce that third way, but only if you stop forcing the duty to win every round. Start small but symbolically. If you feel a pull toward writing, do not quit your job. Write for 20 minutes in the morning, as if it's the most important appointment of the day. If you feel a pull toward nature, schedule a half-day hike with the same seriousness you give a board meeting. If you feel a pull toward a different kind of work, start a tiny side project with no pressure to monetize it. These acts do two things. They give your psyche proof that you are listening, which immediately begins to reduce the rebel symptoms, and they create a new neural pathway, a new identity thread that you can gradually strengthen. The soul doesn't need a revolution, it needs evidence of evolution. Now I need to address the fear that will inevitably rise here, the fear that if you honor these small callings, you'll lose everything you've built, that your life will unravel. But here's the truth, it is already unraveling, just silently. The fatigue, the apathy, the quiet desperation that is the unraveling. The only question is whether you unravel with awareness and agency, or you wait until the threads snap on their own. Radical realignment is not destruction, it's conscious renovation. You don't demolish the house while you're still living in it. You rebuild one room at a time, while the old parts still function, but you must stop pretending the house doesn't need renovation. The roof is leaking. You're just calling it a bit of rain. Another crucial practice, cultivate the courage to disappoint people who are invested in your old self. This is among the hardest things a human can do. Many people will subtly or overtly resist your growth because your change threatens their own unchosen stagnation. They will say you're being impulsive, selfish, unrealistic. They will invoke stability and reason. Thank them for their concern, and then gently, firmly, continue. The opposite of exhaustion is not rest, it is wholeheartedness. And you cannot be wholehearted while tailoring your life to other people's comfort. You will have to learn to bear the discomfort of being misunderstood while you are in the chrysalis. That discomfort is temporary. The exhaustion of a wrong life is permanent until you change. I also want to introduce a practice I call listening to the golden thread. Looking back over your life, there are moments perhaps in childhood, perhaps in young adulthood, when you felt completely alive. completely absorbed, completely yourself. They might seem trivial: building models, organizing your room, caring for an animal, solving a puzzle, making someone laugh. Those moments are not random. They are the golden thread of your authentic life. Follow it. It runs through your entire existence, and it will point you forward if you trace it back. That thread is the voice of the self before it got drowned out by shoulds. Reconnecting with it is one of the most energizing things you can do. As we come to a close, I want to return to Jung one last time. He said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege is not easy. It demands that you stop forcing the life that the world praised and start listening to the life that your psyche is demanding. Your exhaustion is not your enemy. It is the fiercest ally you have ever had, because it refuses to let you settle for a small existence. It will hound you until you expand. The question is not whether you can get rid of the fatigue. The question is whether you have the courage to follow where it's pointing. And that courage does not arrive fully formed. It builds the moment you take one step toward honesty. So I'll leave you with this tonight. Before you sleep, place your hand on your chest and say, silently or aloud, "I am listening. Show me what needs to go," and then pay attention to your dreams, your body, your moments of unexpected lightness in the coming days. Because the soul, once acknowledged, will begin to cooperate instead of rebel. The energy that was being spent on sabotage will become the energy of creation. You will still get tired, but it will be the good, tired of a life that is finally, truly yours, and you will know, maybe for the first time, what it really means to be fully alive. Thank you for walking this path with me. I'm Shehzad Hussain. Until next